decide. Okay, what is it? I think I talked quite a fair bit about the practical, but I know sometimes online not many people join in. So for practical wise, right, I think first thing first, you must know your venue. Okay, if you are still not very sure of your venue, it's time to quickly go and find out. Okay, this weekend or maybe after today, maybe at night or whatsoever, go down. Okay, take a bite. It should be somewhere near your house one. Okay, go and find the place. Do arrive there early. Okay, I think they have given you a sign time. I'm not very sure whether they have changed the sequence. Usually, private candidates is usually the last few shift one. Or usually the second shift or the third shift. Okay, it would be the first. First is actually reserved for school students. Okay, so your site, you should try to go there as stipulated. Tell you what time, just go there at what time. Now, once you're in, usually they don't hold you unless they won't usually put you in the holding area because they want to mix with the students. So after you finish, you should be able to go home. Okay, go there early. Okay, have your breakfast or whatsoever. I think I also told you, not enough time because only 1.5 hours. You don't have time to really sit down and drink or inside the practical because it's quite packed. It's quite compact. 45 minutes for each part. Doing practical, you should decide on which one you should do first. For me, I usually recommend physics first. Recommend physics first because physics will take a full 45 minutes. Then, if you can finish, you finish. If you cannot finish, pause and stop already. Okay, after 45 minutes, go on to the next one. Chemistry. Okay, for you, I think when I was doing practical review, I think I also highlighted that you all don't take a lot of reading, don't read a lot. Most of you just quickly breeze through, browse through and then quickly go on. Cannot, you're supposed to read at least 2 to 3 times. Okay, if you're not very sure, right, you can actually ask the supervisor, but I recommend don't. Okay, because it's a very tedious process. Okay, they'll ask you, because any help rendered, we have to actually copy any words you write. So I recommend you read first. Then you look around. I recommend you look around. Now, if you're mixed, usually you sit. Usually, I see. Yeah. So usually you are actually seated with your own private candidates. So you will be maybe half the group. Okay. So you may want to look around and then decide on which one, how to do the practical. Usually the setup, even like physics, is actually given to you. They already set up nicely for you. Very hard to hear. Wait. Hey, nobody say anything, No, just now never say anything. Maybe 100, Can you hear? Is it possible? Can you hear? Can you hear? Because I hear the movement inside. Can you hear me? Okay, so for practical, I think I must tell you, I'll go there early. Don't be late, okay? Because if you are late, usually it's like that. If you're the first few shift, you are late, right? They will arrange you for the last shift. Okay, but if the last shift, I don't know how you arrange for the last one. You get my point. So do be if they tell you whatever timing, right? Unless there's another shift after you, then fine. But as I said before, usually they try to arrange you with something like you don't need to wait one. Okay, you are either last shift or you are the second last shift, where after you finish, you can quickly go already. Yeah, they don't want to keep you, and also they don't want to mix you with their own so-called students. My school side, they have only opened 2 labs only. Okay, they won't be opening a lot of labs because because I think MOE also don't want to open up for a lot of, because actually if you have more labs, it's faster, but they don't want. Okay, and so your skill sequence may be up to 3rd shift or up to 4th shift. Okay, so being there, you look around. So if everybody and do physics or chemistry first, right? You hear, if you're doing physics, as I say, you're doing physics first, you can actually look around what people are doing. So I won't stop you from doing chem first also. Okay, you look around, you can actually look around and decide physics, because I believe, if I'm not wrong, if you're with the private candidates, half of them will do physics and half of them will do chem. So you can actually look around, so you're not very sure and you follow the setup. This year, although we predicted it's electricity, but please don't call it the same. How come it doesn't come out electricity? prediction is only a prediction. It's not accurate one. Anyway, we are not the sector. We're only saying that because long time it never come out. So do prepare for anything. Now, second part is actually on your tabulation or collection of data. Okay, when you're collecting data, don't worry, as I say, all these I will print out. Okay, I will print out something for you all so that you can look at it. But mainly is on your data collection when you're computing your data, right? When you're collecting your data, if it is to the correct decimal place, if they, like for example, centimeter, you're using measurement, like for example, using your length, right? Confirm the your like 2 cm, right? You cannot give 2.00003 3 or 40. It cannot be one. It's only 2.0 cm only because it can only give you up to 1 degree of accuracy. Because you record the data, right? It must be up to the degree of accuracy as stated. Now, of course, if the question gives you a certain stated accuracy, right, follow it. Like for example, there are some years they say 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter. Then you follow. You don't go into 0. Okay, I do agree. High accuracy is actually better, but in practical, right, if you give a high accuracy, right, like for example, you put 2.00, like 2 zeros behind, right, 2 decimal place for a centimeter, right, it's very dangerous. Okay, it's not correct because your instrument cannot record so high. Okay, so this part you play by what the examiner tells you. So if the table there gives you in terms of like 1 decimal place, you follow 1 decimal place. If they don't give it to you, then you have to decide, right? Then you follow what is logical. Like for example, centimeter is only 1 decimal place. Okay. Then of course we have time. Time, right? Because you're using a stopwatch, right? Of course you can give up to all the like there's I think 4 numbers. Like for example, seconds, right? And another 2 more numbers behind. Because that is as accurate as your stopwatch can give you. So follow it. If there's a temperature, right? Okay, temperature also. If you're using the digital thermometer, some of them can go up to 2 decimal place. Then you follow whatever is written on the instrument. Okay, follow whatever is on the instrument. That's for time, distance, and also for weight. Weight won't have weight is usually your beam balance, which means your electronic beam balance. So whatever the number they give it to you, use it. High chance, I don't think they will give you a beam balance for you to measure because these are actually tabulated. You don't have time, okay, to go there and slowly measure one by one. Okay, so usually they'll give it to you. So most of the time they use time. Another one, if you are using electricity, it'll be like voltage. Now you must look at the voltmeter and the ammeter and the decimal place very carefully. Because some of them can only give you up to 2 decimal places, depending on the degree of accuracy that's stated by the ammeter. Okay, so there's a point. I remember when we were doing the practical, right, there was actually someone, they say like 0.1, like 0.1 ampere. It's not 0.1, it's actually 0.1. The point is very small. Okay, so do look out for things like this. Okay, I told you already that one for tabulation of data, if you can score, if you can give me the table, right, all with the correct degree of accuracy, even if the numbers don't make sense, don't make much sense, right, you can still score quite high. About 4 marks, you can score easily 3 marks. But of course, if your degree of accuracy is given wrongly, okay, or you didn't follow the protocol, right, you won't score for that part. Then after you've gotten all the numbers, right, is the graph. Now, graph, right, basically, they will tell you either it's only a straight line. Now, straight line will be either you plot all, which means either you touch all, okay, like this, right, you touch all, or you don't touch all, okay, like that. I think this one I talked about it quite a few times already. Line of best fit, okay, they call it the line of best fit. You draw here or here, or touch all. Now, if one or 2 points doesn't meet, I think I tell you already, right, if the 1 or 2 points doesn't hit a thing, right, go erase it and change the data. That's why you are supposed to do fast, so you have time for you to change the data. For curve, I must explain. For straight line, I think it's quite straightforward. Okay, if it's like this and this, you can still draw one. Okay, like this or like this. Okay, you have to decide. You really have to decide because if you're sitting with your so-called private candidates, over the years, I see that private candidates seems to improve, which means the quality of the results from the private candidates are not too bad one. They can get fairly accurate results. So if you're able to look around, you see some of the results and then they're very different from you. Could be you are wrong. Could be. Because last time when I first started teaching, that was very bad. It was very bad. But nowadays, the private candidate seems to be improving, which means the standard seems to improve. So you can actually use a gauge. But I'm not saying that they are also correct. Okay, you have to have some faith in yourself. Okay, unless you know you are really cannot make it. But I don't think so. Because I mark your paper, okay lah. Seems most of you got it. Okay, either you see your friend one, correct? Same idea. You walk around because you can in practical, you can actually walk slightly around, correct? You cannot be walking from one end to the other end. But within your own table, you can look around. The person usually sitting in front won't come and intercept you unless you are really very blatant, like you scroll to a paper and really see it, then of course clear cut. But if you are looking around, you can look at how other people are doing one. It's okay one. You can look around, you can look around. You don't do obvious, you can look here, look left, look right one. So there are also ways to cheat. If you ask me about it must be in a certain format, unless you have been doing it with the same class. But if not, it's very hard. Okay. So for your trust your results, okay, trust your results and then try to follow. But the very important thing is that you must roughly know the graph is a straight line or a curve. Okay, if it's a curve, they'll tell you draw the best straight curve or the best curve. Okay, if it's a straight line, they'll tell you the best straight line. Okay, or draw the best straight line, best fit line or whatsoever. Okay, so read out for it. But if it's not clear, they say just draw the graph, right? Then you have to decide by the results. Okay, usually I say already out of 10 experiments for the last 10 years or so, mostly are straight line. Okay, if you look at all the, I compile for you all the notes, right, for the practical, the whole set, right, mostly are all straight line. Okay, that's why I tell you about 10 times about 8 straight lines. So it doesn't mean that your one may confirm be curve or straight line. I cannot be very sure, but roughly it is around there. Okay, roughly it's around there. Okay, so I have confidence. Okay, most important is I have confidence. So your shape, I think even like last round when we did, right, although the curve, the question says curve, right, some of you, it looks like a curve, but you're going to draw a straight line. Okay, that one, I think I saw one or two students, I think one student or two students will draw like that. Okay, but whether, as I say, if you can manage to plot the x-axis and the y-axis, right, and then manage to put the points in from your data point, right, into the graph, right, out of the 3 marks or 4 marks, right, you can actually get about 75% of the marks. Okay, about 70, because the graph, x-axis and y-axis are already 1 mark already. Then of course the other plotting is another 1 more mark. Then if you draw the correct one, the best fit line, okay, that one will be another 1 more mark. Okay, then so easily if you have the table and then plus the graph about 3 marks, 7 upon 12, 7 upon 15 already. Right, very easy to pass one. Then in between, of course, if they ask you to find gradient, you find gradient, or they ask you for conclusion, 1 or 2 marks you can pass already. Okay, if you're not aiming for very high results, right, passing is no problem if you follow the thing. Then of course we have we also have the data where we conclude of finding the thing. Now I also teach you all to work backwards, or for those who just come in, we're talking about practical. So if you think,
because I saw you at the email, right? You said please begin later at 6:45.
Huh? Is it?
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, so 6:45, no need to log in again, right?
No need. Yeah, which means because you all agreed 3 to 6, I just copy and paste. I didn't see the thing. 3 to 6, 3 to 6. But I wrote on the table, 3 to 6, right? On the title. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. So sorry. Because I think I just paste only because I thought quite late, confirm you. Anyway, today is the last session. We'll be seeing you on so-called until 16, I think, or 15. Okay, we have another 2 or 3 more physical lessons. Today is more for HBL. Okay, ITE view is on this one. Is actually, you remember we actually break up your practical into 3 sessions. Okay, the extra 3 lessons is actually like the makeup for the other 2 sessions. Like for example, because when session A, there's a session A, B, and C, right? Then this session like the 3 sessions that I have extra is supposed to be for B and C. Then the other one is for A and C. Then the other one is only for A and B, something like that. But no point. I mean, if I have it, I might as well invite everyone. So that's how they view it. That was on paper. Okay, but okay. For practical, don't worry. On Tuesday, I think I'll print something for you all. But generally, is what I'm going to tell you all is you follow the what I've recommended to you all. Okay, I think physics, you all may face more problem. To me, I think physics face more problem for you because first it's very tight. The timing is very tight because it has a lot of so-called you have to read about 10 minutes. Then after you do already, okay, correct? You do already. Okay, for practice. If I'm not wrong, okay, if I'm not wrong, okay, for electricity, for any setup, right, they will set up for you. Okay, they will set up for you one. So then you from there, right, you just go on. Electricity will have some issue. Sometimes I will have some issue, but don't worry, because you're the second or the third shift, right? The first shift will already get it from. If they cannot work, that means the first shift also cannot work. Okay, you can work means your first shift. Very high chance that it's not because the first shift can't get it, but you can get it. Very, very low chance one. So most of the time, you should be able to get in and do the things one. Now, I think I told you all right. It's either straight line or curve. Straight line is like that. Curve, okay, should all points should roughly hit down, You cannot give me some point, you don't have this, you don't have like that curve and then like this. I think I talked about this, don't have this, don't have the curve and then one line of that straight. Curve must be, all points must roughly touch on. Okay, you can have at least 80% or 90% of the point must touch. 1 point out, okay. I think it's okay. But if that point is out, please, you know what to do, change the results. Oh, suggestion for precaution. I think, okay, this one, Basil, let me explain for the precaution. Inside my printout, on Tuesday when I see you, I give it to you. I have listed some. Okay, but of course, the some of the precaution depends on, it's quite generic one. Like give you an example, if it is like electricity, right? What is some of the problem? Okay, what are some of the problems that you will face in electricity? Heating, because when you switch the switch to on, the heating will start coming. Your resistor will get hot, your wire will get hot. So what happens when it get hot? Wires will expand, right? Correct? The wires will expand, hot will expand. So what happens? Your electricity flow is actually faster because it's bigger area. So actually your resistance drop. Right? But it's actually quite insignificant. But if you wish to ask me, to force me to say, what are some sources of error for electricity? Of course, it's heating out of the resistance or the heating out of the wire. Okay, because of prolonged usage. Because in terms of if you ask me, is it very significant? I won't know. If you ask me, confirm we'll have some heating, but whether it's very significant or not, very hard to say. That's why we put it under your precaution, under heating, like heating of the wire. Another one is, of course, as I think I told you, if there is a wire, if I'm not wrong, if there is a variable resistor, right, and they ask you to use the jockey, like the touch, right? Some people of your previous batch one, you're going to see, the first one, of course, if you're the first one, the wire untouched, right? People don't hit too much, right? The wire is still very nice one. But when you compress too hard, because you want to take one reading, you compress too hard, right? You will deform the wire. The deform the wire, what happens? The so-called the diameter actually becomes smaller. So that actually you increase the resistance of the wire. But of course, this being said, the increase is actually insignificant. If you ask me, it's actually quite insignificant. Unless you do it so hard, you press it until it becomes so thin, cannot be on. Okay? Of course, it can be put as part of precaution. Okay? So the wire heating. So if you ask me, wire heating, how do you prevent it? Too fast, correct? Too fast, because that one is under control. Okay, you can, if you do fast, means if you are not using one of the precaution would be like, for example, if you're not doing the experiment, make it open circuit. Okay, so that the current doesn't flow. Because some of you you already put in. Then of course the keep on flowing, right? Electricity, then you'll heat up the experiment setup quite easily. But if you ask me, it's very insignificant. Now, you also have to look, like for example, like our another source of error will be what for electricity. Maybe it's what?
Sure.
Yes.
Is it possible if you write down all the sources of error?
Write down. Okay, on my paper I got write, but I cannot writing for all. I only propose only because the sources of error depending on the setup. Battery, okay, this one cannot write. Battery cannot be working on because if the battery cannot be working at first, you can actually detect by voltage, right? The voltage can see on because when you connect, right, that's why they ask you to connect. It's usually in a parallel or in the series, in a parallel one. So you should be able to see because you know that one battery is for 1.5 volts. So most of the time, for all the practical, right, they should give you fresh and new battery. Very unlikely, your battery will be gone. Very unlikely. Yeah. But of course, you want to put, you can put in there. Okay. But can be checked. If you want, you can put in as one of the error because battery not working. Very hard to say that unless, okay, you cannot write battery not working because battery have electricity or not, right? If you don't have electricity in the first place, you won't even have current. To them, if you have current, right, battery is like that. 1.5 means 1.5. You won't go down from 1.5, then 1.2, then suddenly nothing. You don't have this. It's always constant, and then suddenly no more. Once you hit a certain range, you cannot, because of the chemical setup, right? Once you don't hit a certain, like that your battery, for your remote control, like remote control, if you need require a certain voltage. So if you don't hit a certain voltage, right, the thing won't run. correct? Your setup will run because it's not strong enough, right? Let's say, for example, your battery dropped from 1.5, right, to 0.8. Now, your whole setup need 1.0 volts to actually work, correct? Once it hits 0.8, I'm sorry, even if inside got 0.95, it won't work on because your setup need at least a minimum. Just like, for example, you know, it's just like you need a certain mark so you can pass, right? So you can actually run the system. So it doesn't, right? It doesn't. So battery, not enough strength, you can ride, but I don't think it's a very good one. Heating will be a very good one. Heating will be a very good one. Like if you really out of precaution, usually for electricity is one. So for precaution, let me explain. Sometimes they can ask you for one precaution, sometimes they can ask you for two precaution. So I'm not very sure. Like this, like the last round for your center of gravity, that one, they ask for two. Okay, sometimes they only ask for one. So it's one is quite easy one, correct? One is quite easy one. Don't go and say the fan not working or not big enough. Things that you can control one. I do agree, fan you can say it's hot the room is very hot but don't say it's the room is hot. You can say that the room the temperature in the room maybe working. One of a good one would be like, for example, you say the temperature inside the XLab can also be used but it's a very, very how should I say it's not like we are going to 40 degrees and then to 25 degrees. Your temperature is only like a few degrees difference. It actually won't matter. It's a very weak explanation, if you ask me. Okay, prolonged usage, I think yes, because you turn on, it's usually, that's why if you look at some of the older questions for precaution, it's only one precaution. They will ask you for three, or they won't ask you for two. Usually it's only one. So quite easy one. That one actually is quite easy to score. Some of you think that because when we did that practical, or we did two, you thought everything is two. No, not all. Okay, only one or two times they ask you for two. Most of the time it's only one. Okay. So if you want to talk about battery, then you should say battery not enough voltage, or prolonged usage of the battery causes the battery to be low in voltage. That would be better rather than say battery not working. The battery not working sounds like it's like how should I say like a mechanism can work like that. So this is for electricity. But as I say, electricity I don't know whether it will come out or not. Okay, the other partner, the partner who actually is the supervisor for my center one. Okay, she's quite uplip about this one. She said cannot say one. So I didn't dare to ask her. I say, okay, first year in the school, I don't dare to ask too much. Okay. Last time I can still ask a bit. Now cannot. How to ask? First time. Anyway, so whether it's electricity or not, okay, do prepare. My take is whether it's whatever practical you notice, will have to draw graph. You cannot escape the thing. Physics will have to draw graph. So whether it's a temperature taking, or whether it's dripping, how fast the flow rate or whatsoever, it's all graph. So you have to decide. I tell you already. You have to really you put your foot down. Is a straight line or is a curve? Okay, usually the question will tell you If the question don't tell you, okay, if they just say draw the best graph, then they don't know. But if they say draw the best fit curve, then it's a curve. If they say draw the best fit line, then it's a line. Correct? That will be very clear. Okay, but if it's not clear, it will be like draw the best curve or plot your graph. And then it's like they are trying to hide They don't know what then you look at your results and follow the results of whatever you got. Okay. Then the other part is the next question is does it pass through zero? The next question is to ask yourself is does it pass through zero? For electricity, most of the time pass through zero. Your graph this one confirm will pass through zero. This one must pass through zero. Must pass through zero because no voltage should be no current. Correct? That should be the very logic one. But whereas certain things like sometimes you look at the even if you look at Snell's law, the glass block one, it's not coming out. Glass block confirm not coming out. Or the lenses one, confirm it cannot be. It must pass to zero because when sin I goes to zero, then of course the R refractor also be zero. Correct. So quite a number still pass through zero, but it doesn't mean it's everyone will pass through zero. So my take is last time I used to suggest to students you don't draw from zero because if you draw from zero, you are being forced right to start from zero. You get my point? If your scale from x-axis or the y-axis start from zero, then you find yourself in a position that you have to draw whether it passes through or does it not pass through zero. Then you have to ask yourself that $1 million question: must pass through or doesn't pass through? So that one, last time I used to say you draw portion. Like for example, you don't start from zero. Maybe you start from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Then the other one, you can actually, you know, right? I think I talked about the scale before. Your scale can actually start from 10, 11, 12. Then of course, then from here, you can actually start from here as well. 5, 6, 7. Also can.
which means it doesn't, the x-axis and y-axis doesn't start from 0. But because of this issue, right, sometimes O-level, if you look at some of the paper, right, they determine the x-axis and y-axis for you. So no choice. The one, if they actually draw, usually if they predetermine for you, right, they will start with 0, 1. Okay, then that one very hard to cheat, if you ask me. So drawing your graph, that's why some of the advice that they say is, what some of the advice they say is like, whatever results you get, you plot. It's also correct, because they assume that you do correctly. Okay, but if you know yourself, you're not able to do because of certain issues, you got panicky, you won't be able to complete, right? I tell you already, right? Don't care. At least get the all the points, all the table. The table must get most of the marks. The 4 marks is the table, tabulation of the table, you must secure the 4 marks. Okay, then the graph, if the graph out of 3 marks or 4 marks, right, you should, as long as you plot the x-axis and y-axis properly, if they give it to you, then no choice. Then you have to plot. The plotting will give you more marks. Then you plot and then you draw. Now, whether, of course, if you plot according to your values, right, and then they will see whether you are drawing this or you are drawing this. This one, whether it fits in the correct data as compared to the supervisor, right? If you draw this, rather you can get all points touch or you get all points don't touch, right? That one out of the 3 marks, you can get at least 1 to 2 marks. Okay, even if the x-axis and y-axis is drawn for you. So then the second part is, of course, looking at whether your graph makes sense or not. That's where the last 1 or 2 marks comes in. Okay, so even if you cannot, right, out of 12, out of 15, you can at least get 6. Right? 4 plus 2 marks can get 6. Then the remaining, of course, the tabulation, the data calculation, everything. Okay, that's like the last round. Okay, not every practical you can predict one. Not every practical, which means like the results is predictable. So if you can get the results, right, that's why I say there's one component you can walk around, you can actually see around. You cannot be like blind, or you cannot be like just cover your eyes and only see your thing. You can actually look around. Some people still plotting, roughly look around. Don't look until like that. Okay, roughly you look around, then you do okay. The shape there, because even if you can see very closely, right? Okay, even if you manage to see very closely, the numbers are so small. How can you actually plot the same one back to your one? Cannot be. You only look around just to determine curve or straight line. If the question didn't tell you, the question tell you, then you look for what? Really tell you already. Just follow whatever it is. Okay, can. Then of course, if you talk about curve, I tell you something. Your curve and my curve different. How curve is curve very hard to determine. Unless everybody draw curve, you draw straight line then habis. But even then, if you follow to it, out of the as I say, from the graph and the tabulation, you can get 6. At least minimum is 6. Even if yours is a straight line, but everybody is a curve, right? You can get 6 out of the 8. Because 4 and 4, I think 4 and 4 or 4 and 3. So you can at least get a 6 out of the 8 or 6 out of the or 5 out of the 7. Something like that. You won't get the full marks for the graph, but you will get most of it if your standard so-called the decimal places are all correct. Then the remaining part, that's why I say you must read. Because sometimes inside the question, like for example, your the calculation for the CG, still remember? There was a calculation you can work backwards one. Still remember? If the question have those type, I recommend you don't go and do first. Go and quickly go and calculate. Because you know like certain G must be 10. Certain G is 10. But you can argue, let me say G is 9.81. Leave it to you, roughly. Because you sometimes if you work backwards, you should get a certain number and then work from the number and work out. That's where I tell you to read 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes to read. Or most of you never read, spend a lot of time how to do, which is nothing wrong, which is actually nothing wrong. Okay, you should read on how to do. Okay, for students who are your English not that good one, I recommend read at least 3 times. Read at least 3 times. Like for example, you read one round, read already. I still don't know what it's talking about. I read one more time. Then you follow A, B, turn the paper, what measure what. Okay, repeat the experiment, something like that. Okay, maybe I roughly get, then third round read one more time. Okay, don't jump because during the CG, that one, quite a number of you I see quite do very fast, which I quite worried because first time ever, if you're going to see a question that has about 2 to 3 pages on, you read so fast. Less than 2 minutes, you'll go on already, very dangerous. But of course, some of you are able to do it and still able to complete. Okay, that one is maybe non-test solution. But I recommend spend a bit more time. Then the remaining, like for example, if you read 2 or 5 minutes, you already got it already. The next 5, you see whether you can work backwards. Then once the time's up, then one you must fix to the timing. For practical, you must adhere to timing one. Okay, start at 8, right? That's why I say you usually start at 8. Then the next timing is start at 10. There's a reason because there's a half an hour turnover. But sometimes because the turnover takes more than expected, right? your timing maybe start at 10:10 or 10:15 or 10:05 because of the timing. Really, you want to start fast, because the half an hour is not enough really to know, because the you have to surrender. The students finish already, collect the paper, surrender your goggles, so, and put in the new set of things, right? And then check all the setup, leave the room, and then the new students must come in. Half an hour is very tight, I tell you. So it may not come in. Last time, if it comes in exactly, then you can follow what I teach you. The timing is quite sweet, exactly 10. So 10 minutes for read, right? So we 10:10, okay? 10:10 already. Then 20 minutes to do experiment, 10:30, correct? And 15 is actually do experiment. So you can follow the clock 45 minutes. Okay. This one this whole practical is on management of time management. If your time management is poor, you won't be able to finish one. You won't be able to finish one because most of you either you spend too much time doing the experiment and you have spent too little time trying to draw the graph. That's where you have issue. But if you can also argue, Mr. Lee, practically you don't do how you get results. I agree. That's what 20 minutes only. And cannot finish, I see already. I told you already fake results, because they don't record. You have to see. Mr. Lee, curve how to fake. Good question. I also don't know. Really. That's why you're supposed to finish it. Okay. I really don't have a solution. You ask me if it's a curve, then how Mr. Lee can fake? Straight line can, because straight line just need 2 points, correct? Then the rest is interpolate. You just get the top and the back. Okay, some people are very kiang, just take the first 2 and then draw the straight line upwards also can. If you can get it, then you must be daring. That's why I say you must be daring. Okay, the curve, I tell you something. You can see your curve and the other person curve different. As long as it's roughly about there, can already. So you can also ask me like this curve and this curve. What's the difference? They're the same. How I know? As long as your shape looks like a curve, roughly you get full marks already. That's why I tell you curve is actually sometimes quite easy to score, because curve compared to straight line. Straight line, because the straight line has a fixed gradient one, and the fixed gradient, that's why I say you have to sometimes work backwards to see whether the gradient conforms or is it the same as what is required for the final answer. Sometimes straight line may be a killer because you cannot. It's easy, it's easy to work on it. Okay, but it's also difficult because if your curve, your straight line, like for example, a less slope, this slope versus a steep one, quite different one. The results is quite different. Curve very hard one. Curve, high chance they will ask you to draw gradient. Straight line, confirm will ask you to ask gradient. Because straight line, they want to see whether your gradient is correct. Then they will, once you see the gradient, you will know whether your graph is right or wrong. Okay, very easy one. The graph, they will using a gradient, they can determine whether your answer is quite close to result or not close. Curve, no need to worry. Like this one, roughly the same. Okay, just like for example, a human being, like 6.1 cm and 6.2 cm about the same. You won't see the difference one. Okay, but the curve, the straight line, yes, the gradient is quite prominent. Okay, then of course that leaves the last part for the precaution. So precaution, if you ask me, out of 15 marks, it's only 1 to 2 marks. 1 to 2 marks. It won't have like last round, this round they give you so many because curve don't have a lot of calculation. That's why you notice the calculation is not there. So all the marks are being squeezed to behind to become the precaution. But if you have straight confirm a lot of high bulk of the marks will be in the straight line. And usually, for electricity one, they will have a lot of calculation on straight line calculation because P goes to VI, V goes to RI. Then P goes to RI. So if they ask you to remove the I over it, so your R will be actually equals to V over I. So if you plot voltage over current, right, it should be a straight line one. Okay, of course, unless it's ohmic, non-ohmic. Ohmic means it's a slight curve one. Okay, but then most of the time, because it's very hard to find a non-ohmic material, and also non-ohmic is quite unpredictable. It doesn't mean that one school will get it, the other school will not get it. That one is unless the whole batch got problem. Okay. I also want to say something because this is on hindsight. For people, because I've asked the supervisor, because my school one, she has many years of doing it. Okay, so I asked her what was some of her experience. So she shared with me that sometimes the results from as required, like the goods, the chemical, or sometimes the items sent over by SCAB, there's really some problem. There is really some problem. Some of them really got problem. So if you find that, how come you compare with another school and the other school gets straight, how come your one is curve? Your one could be correct because maybe the whole school when you take it's actually curve. So don't be too like anal or too precise. Miss Lee, how come all my friends got straight line, my one is curve? You have to look at your own school result. That's why I say if you can look around, you can look around. You see most people are curve, right? You're quite safe one. And also with the type of questions, as I say, the increasing quality of private candidates, I'm not joking. Most of them are quite correct. Last time it used to be when I first started teaching, they're inconsistent and then very poor one, very badly done one. So then I think I remember one of the year when I first started teaching IT night classes. I remember they actually got asked me, one of the students during the invigilation, I was invigilating. So the person actually asked me, Mr. Lee, this lady asked me my name. I said, sir, how to do this question? I cannot say of course I cannot say I said, you just read the question. I cannot say because if I say, I means you have to deduct marks also. But he really don't know how to do. Yeah, he really don't know how to do. But nowadays, I find that the quality getting better. So that's why I say, if you can manage to look around, you can get good results. You can see roughly, they can give you a good gauge already. Chemistry, I think I also want to talk about chemistry. Reading, and I think I talk about annotation, right? Please annotate. Because actually, I look at the market paper. Only some annotate already, right? Not everybody annotate. You annotate, like draw diagram, draw eyeball. I tell you how to draw eyeball. There's a reason. And the eyeball is to tell you, you must put down your observation. What color change you see, what things you do. And of course, if you ask me for preparation, physics hard to prepare. Chemistry can. You go and read the QA. Okay, the qualitative analysis one, the paper, the OARA, and of course the acid, base, and salt. These 4 topics are, the pie chart. You remember the pie chart? I tell you, the pie chart. Read that one. QA, then the acid, bases, salt preparation, and of course the last one. Now, salt preparation, I told you that one is you have to memorize quite a fair bit of things. So I leave it to you. You memorize. If you want, you memorize the solubility table. Can be. For salt preparation, just memorize the solubility table, which is what? All nitrates are soluble. Barium, lead, right? Barium, lead, and calcium sulfate are insoluble. Read that one. The solubility table. Memorize that one if you want to, because that one is not given to you. Okay. Then of course the color. You remember the color. O level so far they like to give color. So far so good. They like to give color one. Okay. There's a reason because I think all clear solution not exciting. Not exciting. Really not exciting. And then when you have color, the Bandung effect, just like last year one, you see the one I give you, the Bandung effect one come in. And then I told you the Bandung is quite tricky. Okay, the Bandung is quite tricky, where you talk about in terms of like red solution, right? In like for example, the solution is blue color, and then you got white precipitate. So some of you give me all the light blue precipitate, actually it's wrong. Okay, the white precipitate one is actually white because it's actually a blue solution. So your precipitate in a blue solution. So it does give you that. That's why observation versus the results is different. Observation, of course, you can say light blue, but if you want to be more specific, you can say that actually white precipitate form inside the blue solution. That will be actually more correct. Always remember, if there's a color solution, like for example, you see the thing is there, do take note of the Bandung effect. And this one, I think I talked about it the last round. Okay. Second one is heating. Heating, every year I keep on saying this heating is quite important one because heating, like last year's chemistry involving the OARA don't have heating. But if there's a heating, heating is a skill. Heating is a skill because I think like for example, you take a solid, you take 2 liter, you heat, not enough gas. Like for example, carbonate, you heat 2 liter. If the carbon dioxide 2 liter, you cannot test it. You take too much, you take half the test tube. I tell you the whole practical finish, you also cannot heat finish. Okay, so there is a catch one. Okay, for heating, that's why it's a skill. Okay, so I recommend if you want to do heating, because this year, the year that we did, we didn't have the color, we didn't do heating. Okay, if there is a heating one, remember, if you're heating to see, to observe for changes, like color change or gas evolve, right? Okay, for color change or for whatever observation or observable change, right? Use a little bit. But if you're using it to determine, like for example, heat the solid and determine what is the gas that is being evolved, that one you take more. Don't take until half a test tube, take a bit more compare, because you don't take too many, the gas that is evolved cannot give out the gas. Then during one of those experiments, not test one, I saw some of you heat. No heat. The gas come out, not many, the bubble a little bit. You must be sympathetic, because like you put the aluminum foil, right? Remember there was one we test the nitrate and ammonia gas one. So you put in the gas, so little bubble come out. Some of you, I want to see, put in the burning splinter, or the glowing splinter, and let's see whether it is gas, because you don't dare to smell whether the gas is not. And also maybe when you smell, because if the bubble is so small, so little, you must wait for it for enough concentration, then the ammonia gas will be evolved. Correct. That's why you must also see from the clue. Like for example, they put sodium hydroxide, they put aluminium foil. Then what is nitrate? Right? Test for nitrate. So you're actually supposed to test whether there is ammonia gas. But some of you do already. Less than 30 seconds. The bubble come out a little bit, you all quickly put it. Then you see, then the whole thing, when you have the glowing splint, some of the smoke come down and then sink to the bottom and die already. And that one die already. Means your ammonia gas even also can come out from the carbon dioxide. You must all the smoke all go to the end already. All your things is contaminated already. Okay, I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's usually you must wait for a while. That's why sometimes you notice when I was doing practical review, I talk out a bit, right? There's a reason why you think I talk out for fun, because you must wait for it to produce enough possible quantity. Yeah, we're not allowed to smell. But see, I must share with you. Wear mask. Yeah. You okay, you can pull a bit like that, correct? Your mask like that, correct? You can roughly can smell a bit, that day when we did, you all didn't wear mask, man. All right, you also wear mask. I say you just go around, can. And anyway, if your concentration is strong enough, don't tell me your mask are super powerful, you can mask off everything. Your mask is not 100% one. You all know that. The mask is not 100%. Okay, you can still smell slightly. I mean, you can pull down a bit just to smell and then put it back on. Okay, but anyway, I already told the examiner that day will be very hot. I think looking at the weather, I don't know whether it will be usually it's like weekends rain, weekday won't rain. I think so it'll be very warm. I'll be sitting at my fan there. I won't be moving. Yeah, very hot one. Okay, don't bring sweater, please. You better don't bring sweater. Okay, that day will be very hot. Okay, and then all close up one. Unless you're the last shift. Last shift, then they open up the window because no more people can come in to see. Okay. Then for the site, right? Then as I say, practical as you do, you conclude. Okay. Of course, they give you the practical sheet, which one I give you already. The notes I always give you the last page, right? That will be the paper that give you the tick cross everything is there. You don't have to memorize, it's okay, it's there. Okay, but I recommend if you can, you memorize it. I think it'll be good I thought, because this one will help you for your structure and your essay also for in time to come Okay. Now, timing wise, when you finish already, chemistry is actually faster one because 10 minutes to read, 20 minutes to do experiment to 25 minutes maximum. Anything more than that, I tell you, means somewhere you did wrong, really. Okay, unless you want to redo. Okay, redo no time one. You want to redo the whole thing, actually, I tell you, not enough time. But you can redo one part, can. Okay, then of course there is actually some part that actually have, they ask you to take, filter or something. Okay, let's say for example, there was one part they ask you to filter, right? And then keep the solution for you. But just like the last round, right? They say that you drop already, let it rest and then see the effect afterwards, right? There are some that actually ask you to wait on. Okay, you need time for it to oxidize or to reduce one. The one you put one side, okay? So do be very careful. And then some of it is like that. When you're preparing, like for example, they say part A, right? You do something to it, right? You dissolve the metal into it, and then use the solution that exists after the resulting solution, right, to do for part C, part D, part E. You don't prepare one, half a test tube not enough. And then, okay, you want to use very half of it, can. Don't use so much, you don't pour a bit. Okay, some students actually tell me before, I dilute with water. Well, they cannot. You dilute means the solution will also be diluted, your results will also be diluted. As long as you can see the effect, can already. For me, actually, I tell you, about half a test tube I can use for almost half or another one part run. No need to do until like one big volume tube. No need. Because when you do experiment, you only need about one thumbnail, like your fingernail, this height only. Okay, your fingernail. You just look at the last fingernail, about this height only. You are more greedy. One part, one segment. One segment for one segment. Okay, don't go and overpour it. Then for people who like to play one, after experiment, play. Not now. When you are doing, please don't play. Go and clear the solution and clear the results. I think also one of the thing is this. Some of you got, you hear pop sound, right? You remember? You all hear the pop sound from the oxygen. Why is it the oxygen got pop sound? You all can understand why it's there. When we did the last so-called the experiment, the last practical we did, then there was a pop sound. Right? Then some of you hear that it's a pop sound. It's because it's not really compressed. It's because they actually tell you it's hydrogen peroxide. How can it be? How can it be hydrogen? Cannot be. Hydrogen peroxide is H2O2. So we go through decomposition, right? It should give you oxygen. That's one clue they tell you already. But Mr. Lee, how you know? I tell you that's the only clue. Just like, for example, how should I say? How do you know that person is a male or female? You look at you see the other apple confirm is male. You see this, you see a girl like wear a dress, a person who wear a dress. Well, got other apple could be a bapuk. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. There are certain clues they already tell you. Second one is because when you put in the hydrogen produced too fast, and then but there are some bubbles that cover on top. You remember? Because they put in something else, so there was something that covered on top. So as it goes out, right, when you hit the thing, right, it bursts through the bubble. That's why you hear the pop sound. Okay? It bursts through. But actually the key thing is actually it shouldn't be the sound. It's actually the flame, the glowing becomes relaxed, or the flame becomes bigger. Right? Smell is of course one of them, but hydrogen peroxide confirm is oxygen, confirm with oxygen, or odorless gas one. Okay, this one your main solution of course you can say I hear pop sound, but useless you can't put in it because that one the pop sound it won't help you in concluding the final so-called gas that's being formed. Okay, so if you let's say for example you do get this pop sound, then how? You may want to, you say very strange. How come you got said before? Hydrogen peroxide, how come got hydrogen? Maybe you try, that's why I say you try another one, not take with your glowing spleen and try. Because for odorless gas, only three only. Lighted spleen, right? Lighted spleen and glowing spleen. Then of course the other one is coming outside bubbling through the lime water. But bubbling very difficult. That's why I say you use a lighted spleen. If the flame suddenly goes small, then you take out, it grow big again, right? The high chance that gas that's being involved is carbon dioxide gas. And then of course I told you I cannot write this. You must write what bubble through lime water and give you what precipitate. Okay? Can? This one. So you're all in all, you look at the two practical, right? After you finish your physics, then you go into chemistry. That gives you another 15 minutes for you to check your work. That should give you about 10 to 15 minutes to check your work. So if you cannot finish, right, I'll quickly go back to your physics and finish it. That's why you need time one. Chemistry should be fast one. That's why I recommended if you do physics first. Chem, if you do first, right, is half an hour. You should only do it within half an hour. Plus the reading and all the practical plus the conclusion everything must complete. Try to complete within half an hour. I do agree, you have 45 minutes, but you must complete so that you spend the remaining time more time on physics. Physics need more time, okay? Because the graph drawing and the conclusion part and the calculation, you can do in 15. You're very good, okay? You can really do in 15. You're very good. Okay, some of students cannot because they need time. Your graph you need time to draw, and then sometimes you draw, shit, it's wrong graph. Then how? You got enough time to redraw, and not got enough time to redraw. Okay, so all in all, when you finish, how do you check? Okay, the other part is after you finish, how do you check? How do you check whether your work is? Check for accuracy. Don't go and check whether your answer is correct or wrong. How do you check? You also know whether you check. The only thing you check is whether, okay, like for example, decimal place correct now. Check for this. Check the table. Okay, for physics, check the table. Check the graph. Did you plot correctly? Like for example, is there a missing point you forget to rub? Like for example, you go and take one point and bring it down. You forget to rub. Go and rub it. Go and change it. Then rub away the points. Go and see whether the point is consistent or not. Okay, these are things you should be checking. Don't check whether answer. How do you check answer is right or wrong? I also wouldn't know one. You only know after you come out from the room that everybody talk, then you know one. Okay, can? And then I tell you something, the practical is only correct to the same school. Another school may be slightly different. That's why no point you compare another school because sometimes maybe the batch of chemical may be contaminated only for of course I wouldn't say it's every school, but mostly sometimes as I heard before, there are some cases that school because of the contamination they get slightly a bit color change difference one. Okay, the color will be slightly different from the other school one. But as long as you are consistent throughout, it's okay with the other people inside the same lab. So you shouldn't be too worried. Finish, end already. Don't go and think too much. Let the God do the rest already. Okay? Then handwriting. This is on the hindsight. Handwriting. As some of you handwriting can do a bit better. Okay, really you have to write clearly. Because if the examiner cannot understand or read your words, how to mark? Okay? Writing nicely. Okay, straight to a point. Okay, point form. Like for example, in your chemistry, the chemistry solution one, blue precipitate scene, can already, just like what I write. Okay. Then when you write at the bottom for conclusion, right, then you can write in full sentences. But if you want on the first part, especially the table, inside the table, then you say what? Barium sulfate add inside. Correct? Add the barium nitrate. Right? Add barium nitrate into a solution, white precipitate scene. Can already white precipitate scene. No short form. Precipitate. Please write how to spell precipitate. Don't write PPT. PPT is for me. Okay. But if you want to annotate using precipitate, because you notice there's a lot of repeated, then you must write on top. Let PPT equals to precipitate. You write on top, let PPT equals to precipitate, or you write precipitate bracket PPT, then you can use PPT throughout. Okay, if you notice they want to repeat the precipitate over and over again, certain terms you want to use over and over again, then you write like that. Okay, but at least you must write at least once correct, so that they know that actually you know how to spell precipitate. Okay, no short form, because sometimes your like Pythagoras PHY, who knows what is PHY? But anyway, for that one Pythagoras they won't ask you okay. But for precipitate, they expect you to know how to spell. Okay, standard answers like for example, ammonia gas one is what? Pungent gas, correct? Pungent gas is 1 mark. Then the other one is what? Blue precipitate. Ammonia gas is what? Red precipitate. Red litmus, moist red litmus turns blue. That one they expect to see these two things. Then you can get 2 marks. Then you can conclude okay. But of course, sometimes inside when you write all these things already, you see the solution. You can actually conclude on what? You can actually conclude on what? Hence or therefore, ammonia gas produced. Quickly right now. Don't go and write NH3. Go and write AMMONI. No, and the full spelling for ammonia. If you don't know, go and find out. Go and find out like ammonia gas, sulfur dioxide gas. If you cannot remember the spelling, go and remember it. Go and practice a bit on how to write gas. Okay. Clarity of thoughts is very important. Okay. On the day, don't be too kanchong really. I think you too kanchong, you come in late, you late for everything, you get very frightened. Yeah, it affects your whole emotion. Okay, for me, I always believe when you go in, you must be calm. Yeah, I know what it is. Don't worry, can finish one. Okay, but don't also be too overconfident. Can one, don't worry, I can do it. But then you didn't finish it. Okay, this one hard to really say. It depends on person to person. But the way I see most of you do. Can it? Looks like it is possible. Okay, looks like most of you can. Most I saw. At least I don't see any fundamental big one. Except for a few. I think a bit slow, but then either it's because you come in late, or was it because you really take so long to read? When you take really long to read, I tell you already, use time. Can finish, cannot finish, stop already. Mr. Lee, I cannot finish, how? Fake results. Mr. Lee, come like Chin Chai, just draw. I tell you, this curve and this curve, no difference. You draw this, then you draw a curve, then you mark out the point, and then you flip the X and Y axis, right? Go back to the table and formulate out everything. No choice. Your curve, I told you, curve and curve cannot see the difference. Straight line can. Your straight line, the gradient, you can slightly different is out, but at least you can get the 6 marks. The 4 marks for the correct decimal places for the tabulation, 3 marks for 4 to 3 marks for the graph one. Okay, you can get at least this first part. Then in between, let's say the calculations, sometimes you get wrong or whatsoever, I don't know. Then of course the conclusion. Okay, sometimes not always they ask for experimental error, not always. So if they do ask, then there's 1 mark. Don't always think that there is 1. Because there are some years they also never ask one. Yeah, I think so. But I don't know whether this time out we'll have not. Okay, do be open. So there is actually another type. I think we didn't have time to do. I think is it? It's actually it can be anything. That's the thing. Even if I let you do all the past year, those like cannot predict one, which means it can be like the flow rate. They ask you to adjust the flow rate of the water, and then another one you take the pail and then drop it and see how the water flow left and right one. That one it won't repeat one. You just follow instruction. That one is actually the essence of it is actually follow instruction. Can you read the instruction? Do you understand? Okay, spend time. That's why I say spend time to read. Okay, spend time to read. Okay, chemistry. There's one more thing I need to tell you. Just like the last practical, that one. You all know that I think I told you already. You can do independent tests. Right? Once you finish already, let's say you got some time left over. Right? A, X, Y, P, Q, and R. The 3 solutions. Do independent tests. They will tell you P, Q, and R could be silver nitrate. Could be the other 2 solutions. I can't remember which is it. So there's one that's silver nitrate. Go and do an independent test. You say, okay, if one of them is silver nitrate, I'm going to find out which is silver nitrate. Then once you got it, you rework backwards to get answer. Also can. Yeah. You can actually do one. You all know that you can use anything in front of you to try it. That's it. Just remember, if your QA is strong, that's why I say if your QA is strong, it's like Uncle make milk. You can make anything you want. You can even understand as long as you can see what it is. Okay, you roughly estimate what it is. Solution wise, quite clear. If it's colored blue, will be copper. 30 green, green color is usually copper. Iron 2, right? Iron 2. Then reddish brown is iron 3. Roughly there one, okay? Black solid there. Let's say you produce until no more gas produced, right? The gas will still stay here. Carbon dioxide will still here. Diffusion takes very long. Okay, then this one I need to explain for the carbon dioxide gas. Escape, it doesn't really escape very fast. Okay, after testing using the lighter stream, we have time to bubble through the water. I have that one. Okay, this one are very good. Like for example, you stop bubbling. As long as you see bubble, gas, carbon dioxide will keep on bubbling, will keep on evolving, will keep on producing. Then you just bubble through it. If not, I recommend that one is using tip effect. Still remember, you can ask for a dropper, then tip effect, and then bubble through it. Okay, the delivery tip one, that one is an older experiment where you need to heat it. When you heat, you bubble, you push the gas up, okay, into the delivery tube. But that one is it's a skill. That's why I say it's a skill. Using tip pipette, using the dropper, you squeeze the air, right? You squeeze the air out and then go into the lime water and then squeeze it out into the lime water. That one, confirm one. I think you have done it before a few times, right? That one is much easier. Honestly, if they don't give us, no choice, yeah. But of course, I think the droppers should be free one. They should be around. They should give it to you one. Even if it's not used, they'll put one spare for you. Okay, one spare one for you. Okay, if not, you can request for it. Unless they don't give it to you. Then no choice. Then you no choice. Use bubbling. Okay, anyway, carbon dioxide gas. You know when you do bubbling, it's not only you do one. If they ask you to bubble, right? Yeah. So yeah, for those who just enter, we're talking about practical. So if the bubble, the gas keep on bubbling, right? Okay, you notice that your other friends also bubbling, right? So if I were you, I look around. Oh, he do bubble. Then you do other things. Look around. Oh, God, you just open your eyes and say, hey, the one white. Okay, can ready. Go and do one. I told you already. There'll be some suckers or idiot. They like to do one. They chongster. I told you already, they do physics first, then they chong chemistry because chemistry is easy to do. Then you go and see now. Oh, like that, good. Okay, no? Yeah, that's what I believe. I'm still talking about the carbon dioxide thing. Because bubble is like that. As long as the bubble keep on having gases, bubble coming out, right? You can bubble it through. But carbon dioxide it's a little bit problematic. You don't have enough concentration. That's why I say the lime water, you take half a test tube, hey, you bubble very long, also won't get it on. Not that you don't have, but it's just that your concentration of carbon dioxide need to be sufficiently enough moles, then you can get it. You get my point? You get my point? So if it's half a test tube, but if you take a bit, that's why you cannot be too greedy. For bubbling of the lime water, never you be too greedy. Take about this one, take about thumb, maybe about thumb only. Okay? I told you already, solution only take like that only. Don't even take half a test tube like that. It's a lot, no. Sometimes heating also got problem. If you want to heat, also take problem. Color change can see one. Okay, then precipitate, I told you already. You can actually shake, right? Then you see the side of the test tube. See whether you got something stick on it. If not, there's one more. That's why you know your sink is white color, right? You know why the sink is white color? You pour inside, you pour the solution inside, but that one you waste the whole thing. You just pour inside. You see the bits and pieces like mucus stuck on the white porcelain, the sink, right? The white one, right? You can see the color is there. Okay, then for gas one, for gas testing, that one I know carbon dioxide quite problematic one because it's it takes time. Yeah, hi. We are still talking about practical. So it takes time for the color to change, and also for the lime water to change to white to precipitate. It takes time, okay. Even you bubble, sometimes people have bubble for 1 or 2 minutes. But if your concentration is high, like I think you did, right, you just need to bubble about 2 pipettes or 3 pipettes worth of the carbon dioxide. You can see the color change quite frequent, quite accurately, Okay, I think for those people who have done it before, I think you've done it, right? I think I show you, right? You do 2 to 3 times, I can get one. Usually by the second, color will change already. Don't need to turn it. That's how I could also see quite interesting. Oh, you see some slide, we come one. Not whitish enough. You're going to do a few times. Okay, I leave it to you. Have fun. But as long as you have it, can already. Okay, this is for carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is quite tricky one. Another part about carbon dioxide is heating. Okay, this one, over the years, this particular, we don't have heating. Okay, last time they used to have heating one, means they take a solid, like copper carbonate. I give you an example, copper carbonate. They take copper carbonate. I think it's green color. Copper carbonate is green color one. So you heat, the color will change to black because one copper oxide. Copper carbonate, CuCO3, it's a green precipitate. It's a green solid. So when you heat, right, it will decompose to copper oxide and carbon dioxide. This is black color, this is green. Okay? Don't ask me why it's like that. Okay, it's just like that. You know the copper Statue of Liberty, that one, green color. So that one, you turn this side, you turn to copper oxide. Okay, this copper oxide with carbon dioxide. The gas, that's why I say you take 2 liters of the copper carbonate, the gas not many one. So you want to squeeze that tip pipette, you think, you can squeeze 8 to 5. Don't have, only one, at most 1 to 2 only, depending on how much you put. That's why I say you want to test, if you want to see color change, take a bit. You want to test for gas, you have to take more. Don't be too greedy, everything take all together. I agree, it depends on whether you can do all at the same time. So for heating, usually I usually recommend for heating, you take 1 small bit just to see color change. But if you talk about want to test for gas, take a bit more. You really have to take, because if the gas come out, you take only a bit of spatula, like 1 spatula not enough. The gas is too little to give you any results. I've seen it before. Some people say, you see, how come I bubble? Nothing one. I see the solid so little, how to give you? Cannot. Not enough. The heating is a skill. It's really a skill. You take too long, you take too much, heat too long. You take 2 liters, the gas produce 2 liters. You also cannot get results. That's why this one, heating always give a lot of issues. But the one that we did, right, didn't have much heating. It's supposed to be easier. They don't have heating one. But then the OARA, I think also put everybody off trail. Okay, then. But OARA, I think I told you all before, that one may not come out every year. You can check. The practical paper I give you all is the whole set of years from 2018, 1980 or 19990 until today one. About 10 last years worth, and you can see got OARA. Sometimes only 1 or 2 part only. That last year they give out 1 big part. Okay, not every year they ask one. So don't be too overly excited. And say, last year come out like that, will this year come out? Usually no. OARA is a very small part. Okay, mostly it's actually heating. Traditionally, it's always heating. But the heating got issues. Okay, I hope it answers the questions in terms of like for the heating and getting the solution one. Okay. Then see, what is purple is what? What purple is what? What is purple? I'm sorry, what is purple? So I think I explained the carbon dioxide, but what's purple? Purple is usually potassium permanganate. Are you talking about potassium permanganate? Potassium permanganate? Potassium permanganate is that color, is decolorization only from purple to colorless solution. Okay? Can? Chlorine gas, let me explain. This one I don't know what purple is unless you can give me more information. So I'll explain about the chlorine pungent gas. Because we talk about odorless gas. Odorless gas. Sorry.
Okay. If potassium permanganate becomes colorless, right?
Which one? Color solution. Must help me a bit that can help me. What color of solution? The color of solution is Bandung the Bandung effect. Remember the Bandung effect? Can?
Sure.
Can?
I mean, potassium permanganate become colorless. What happened? Like what just happened?
Not very clear. I can't hear. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
no
I don't think I can hear. Do you hear? If not, you type out, because I think it's harder for me to see, harder for me to hear. From purple to colors. Oh, that one is OARA. It's from your, you have to read that one. Very actually, OARA is actually tested more for pure chemistry test more. Okay, not combined. Combined usually is heating. Okay, if not, it's the traditional color, the green and green oxides, the green, the things. Of course, they also give you a table. Okay, they give you a table about color of the compound, but that one is useless one because not all color, they only say it's highly suspected is that one, but it may not be. So that one is additional. Give or don't give also useless one. Won't help you one. Okay. So practical wise, at the essence of it, it's actually follow instruction. You follow instruction. So you have to switch fast, 45 minutes only for each paper. Then you should be able to time manage well. Okay. If you ask me, it's not about content, it's about time management. Are you able to quickly do? And then if you cannot finish, what should you do? So you notice from just now until now, I keep on talking about practical, right? You notice the keyword is not about, okay, knowledge is important, but there's actually this thing called time management. Don't if you are stuck, right, run already, okay? Calling supervisor, the one, it's not that you cannot call. You can call, but it takes time, okay? You will eat up your time because they don't give you extra time, okay? The person has to run down and then come and talk to you because I invigilated the N-level one. Let me share an experience. Okay, I invigilated the N-level for the retail operation. My school have the retail operation, which means they have collaboration with IT. So the student asked a question, very troublesome one. You have to find, okay, the invigilator has to come in, okay? Then the SS, the supervisor, also need to come in, okay? Then they both sit down and then listen to the question, and then see whether, and then they can record any question that the person asks. The thing must record one. They call the supervisor in, they must record one. And then I ask, what was the question that was said? So both sides must agree that, yes, this was a question asked by the student. Then they also must agree that this is the answer provided by the supervisor. So the professor cannot give like me, talk, cannot. Usually it's one word answer. Read carefully. Then only you get my point. You're going to kill, because after that, you ask one question, sounds shock. Me and the other guy, go to write a report. What you ask? Is it like that? You're making more extra work. So usually I also know. So if a student asks me, I'll say read first. Usually I'll give you a standard answer. And because the question is quite clear, you won't have a case where the question is not clear, not possible. But I do agree. Sometimes maybe the setup is not great, not good. That's why you should ask. One of the good questions to ask is, I think something wrong with the setup. This is a very good question to ask. I think there's something wrong. You raise your hand, I think there's something. Then I won't say anything. I'll ask the supervisor come down to see. Then the of course, he can also say there's nothing wrong. But then it's back to you again. Yeah. Then I assure you already, you're the second or third shift one. High chance if your one cannot work, the sucker in front of you confirm cannot work. Okay? Don't need to worry. Confirm can work one. Okay? Confirm can work one. Okay. Then another one. Obviously battery you use now. Your battery, you didn't use once. You think it's like my microphone. Use once, the battery all gone. Don't care, at least can use for 4 hours. Can? Don't worry. Okay, my battery for my mic, I on it for about 2 sessions. At least for 4 hours before it runs dry. But even then, I can also feel it here as I'm holding the mic, it's hot one. That'll be very rare one. Very rare, really. And then your battery is the big one. You're not needing the small AA battery. So can last one. I assure you, over the years, I've not seen a case, one shot use up everything. Don't have. Only in when you are doing practical, because the auntie sometimes prepare the battery, the battery not strong enough because they use the old battery. But don't worry, in your case, if there is a battery, they're using new one for you. So it's okay? Can? Color change one for OARA, go and memorize it. That one I have nothing to say. Okay, the potassium dichromate, no need. You want to memorize the potassium permanganate and the hydrogen peroxide, the one. The first two, I still remember I give you all the OARA table. Remember what is the oxidizing agent and reducing agent. Memorize the first and second one can already. The first maximum two for each can be. Because that one can help you in your MCQ. But over the years, I see the MCQ also change because I think they don't want people to memorize. They are switching away. Last time it's all just memorize, which is oxidizing agent. So it's just you see that word come up. like then you use that one, okay, use it, then you have it already. You don't even need to read the question. That's why now they change the question to what? Oh, which one is being oxidized? Because the one you have to read, then you need to understand who oxidizes, who reduces. Then that part is a bit more thinking, because nowadays O-level trying to go towards the direction of making the student think more. Okay, so that's that now. Can once you finish, okay, because the weather is hot, this is on the hindsight, my own personal recommendation. Hot day, if you really cannot tahan, that what 1.5 hours, you want to drink something during 1.5 hours. Thermal flask, I told you already, thermal flask, put Pepsi and put any cold drinks also can. Okay? That's the only thing you can bring in. You cannot bring one cold can, cannot, because you go in also hot one, because this weather is hot. Okay, you want you put the Pepsi or whatsoever, you cold one, then you pour inside your thermal flask and drink. Okay, they won't check one. The thermal flask they won't check one. As long as it's in the flask, they won't check one. Okay, can but you bring the can of Pepsi, cannot, because you affect others. Sweet can can, but don't bring the those silent one, like I don't know, rapper one, like Strepsils or what, so the right one. Wear what? Cannot wear singlet and slippers. Don't wear, must wear, okay, I tell you, I must cover shoes. Okay, don't wear slippers. You think what? You think it's the kung fu, the don't know what. So since that one, the kung fu, go and wear slippers, go and wear singlet. Cannot. Standard one, okay, covered shoes. Because obvious reason, the thing spills on your leg, how? Correct. Goggles, you must wear. I never enforce my bad, but you must wear. I think I told you already, I must wear. Whether, of course, you, Mr. Lee, will they ask, you want, you can try your luck. I told you something. You want, you can try. Because like me, an invigilator, actually, this year, I was forced to become an invigilator, not because I want one, because there was a mix-up in my school. Okay, the teacher who arranged the thing. So they no choice, make me, and under there, okay, they park me under maths teacher. They never park me under science. Science won't go in one. You won't see a science teacher inside. So actually, they don't know one. Okay, if they push an English teacher or a Chinese language teacher, they don't know whether you should wear goggles or not. So you decide. I recommend you decide. Okay, you don't wear first. Then if they ask you, okay, you wear. Okay. Okay. Which gas to test for first? Is it true that if effervescent confirm only come outside? Okay, this one this one for the which gas to test for first. Okay, first one, if there is a gas, how do you know to test for gas? First is when you see a test tube, you got bubbles, effervescence bubbles. First thing is smell. Actually, the best one is smell. Okay, because last time don't have face mask. You must understand that this character. Last time it started from last time. Last time don't have face mask one. You pull down a bit. Have lah. Have means is if you have the pungent, is that 3. You smell until you smell also nothing. It means it will be the odorless gas, right? It will be the odorless gas. So the odorless gas, then you have the 3, right? Then you use, I told you, I use the lighted splint. For me, it's one test to test them all, which is the lighted splint. Lighted splint, if it is oxygen, right? The flame will grow bigger. If it is carbon dioxide, it will grow small, right? It will grow small. Take out your turn big. Then if it's hydrogen, pops out. Easy. Very easy. But if you don't want, you can use the traditional one. You test for glowing whatsoever. The lighted glowing, lighted first, or then the glowing. Because lighted already, then you flick, then you turn in, right? Then if that all else fail, then you do that one. That one is the traditional one. Pungent, I told you already, if you smell, I told you all to go and smell the 3 smell, right? Your nose is the best one. Hey, you cannot differentiate between the toilet bowl smell, which is the ammonia gas, and the chlorine gas. Chlorine is you don't know chlorine. I teach you. You go home today, or you're at home today, sorry. You go and smell your mother, the bleach. You go, nothing to do, can you smell? That is the smell already. You mean you cannot differentiate? It's like someone telling me, a tea and coffee taste the same. Wow, this one are hard. This one very hard. Okay, you want to use if that is for smell. But if you say, let me see, my nose that day, I got blocked nose. How? Then no choice. Use litmus paper. Okay, litmus paper. You don't want to smell. But I tell you something. The pungent is really pungent one. For people, I think you have smelled it before. It is pungent one. Even if you got some flu, you have some nose block or whatsoever, hey, you can smell slightly. there's a smell, but you just don't know it's odorless or pungent. Odorless, which one only? Maybe it's not that clear. Then you use a litmus test. And so if you ask me, you don't want to smell, right? You say you don't want to smell. Let's say your smell that day is spoiled. So you can use the lighted splint. Lighted splint is try for any. It doesn't work, right? Because lighted splint doesn't work on ammonia, chlorine, and sulfur dioxide. It doesn't work on one. Okay. Then the next one is you take a litmus paper and then you the two color, blue and red. Double red will be what? Sulfur dioxide. Double blue, ammonia. Then red turn white, then blue turn red, then white, chlorine gas. Okay, then this one I told you already, for test of the gases, it's the best one for pungent gas. It's actually your nose. Roughly, the nose can smell roughly. You can differentiate one, quite clear cut. But of course, if you choose to say, I don't want to smell, I don't want to spoil my nose, my nose block or whatsoever, litmus paper and lighted splint, that will be the fastest. But then if you don't want, then you go back to the traditional way, test for either one of them. Because even if you look at the textbook one, they recommend you is odorless smell, test for the tree. Pungent smell, test for that tree. So the first cut is able to smell between pungent and odorless. Correct? Anyway, you got flu, you're not supposed to come in, you know, right? Oh, you know that you've got flu, you're not supposed to come in. But then there's a bad thing. Because you know, if you got COVID, let's say I touch wood, you got COVID, the whole extent you can't come in. And you can't even go to Tan Tock Seng because nobody is going to invigilate you. You know that, right? That's why our school, we also tell them during the exam period, nothing to do. Don't go out and play. You're supposed to go back. Once you finish the exam, go back home. Okay? Don't go and catch the COVID-19 or whatsoever. Because once you catch it, 14 days, how can do? The only way is take next year. Okay? Nobody is, you go Tan Tock Seng, they also nobody going to invigilate for you. And the best part is, chicken pox people is willing, you go to CDC and those CDC, and Tan Tock Seng people still invigilate for you. Chicken pox, they can still invigilate for you. Got measles, they also invigilate for you. Hey, COVID don't have, I'm sorry, we asked already, COVID don't have. You miss, you miss. Okay? This is a special year. Sorry, okay? Cambridge side already said very clearly, if the student got COVID now, going for swab test, also not coming to school. They're not coming. They're not supposed to. Of course, if you don't tell us, we won't know. But that would be very irresponsible. Of course, you can also say I'm ignorant. But don't say it's from me. Okay? But this is the thing. Okay? Ken? Is it okay? I hope I clarify up for the gas one, for the gas testing. Okay? It's not hard, but it's you as I say, you wear the mask, can roughly still smell one. Okay?
Sure.
Ken? I tested. Just now, this morning, I also went out wear the mask. People smoke, I can still smell it. They say what can cover. Tell you that face mask is only limit to certain things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to go for swab test? Because last time I think we received an email asking us to go for swab test.
No lah.
No need.
Swab test is unless you're not feeling well. Then the doctor, under doctor's recommendation. And then you think you want to take swab test so easy. Really? Not easy. The Singapore swab test, you think, hey, you suka, can I go for swab test? Cannot. They'll ask you to go and see GP first. GP test. Then the GP finds that you have the high tendency for this one. Then they recommend you. And then you think you go there, you go to where? You go to polyclinic and say, I want to do swab test. No, they still ask you to see doctor first. Because the swab test is $200 per set. Who pay? You pay. Nobody pay. That's why you want the government to pay. Can. Then you must do. Although it's subsidized, but the government would rather ask the doctor to check first. Yeah. That one, I don't know how come got the email. I don't have it. School side also never. School is also, unless the student, like that day not feeling well, then they go and see doctor. Then the doctor will recommend. Then if you meet those kiasu, kiasi one, of course, you recommend. Yeah. But the swab test, I see, not easy. I told you, they plunge the thing all the way inside, the scrape and then come out. It's this long, You think what? You think it's short? You think it's the cotton bud? They want so long and go in all the way. Better don't get it. Okay, my take is better don't get it. It's first and foremost, everything you do all wasted. Really. Okay. Anyway, this year you are actually discounted one topic, which is first time in the whole history of combined science I ever heard. Discounted one. That's one topic one. It is actually a bonus, because you must understand school also facing a lot of issues with this one. Okay, a lot of disruption. Okay, don't say I told you already. My class not even learning. Huh? The especially the normal tech, not even learning at all. How they learn? You think what? They learn by online. If they learn by online, they won't be that bad. Cannot, really cannot. So don't worry. I think, and then also discount one topic for you all. And then the topic is not small, no. I tell you last time, if you are taking, if you are taking the traditional topics, by now you still ask me the organic. Because organic a lot of things. And a lot of things I can't finish one. Talk until the last. I think today I still talking organic, cannot finish. Because organic, you have to memorize the whole table. Okay? And then student, a lot of time cannot memorize. There's too many things. For you all only do the right. I think I also highlight to you already, right, which topics are important, right? Study that one. Okay, use that one as a guide. Yeah, use that one as a guide to study. Okay? Is it okay? Well, I think we talked a lot of practical. I thought we talked quite a fair bit earlier on already, before the school, before the session. Well, of course, I'll print for you all. Okay, I'll print the essential things that I've been talking about to you all. Okay, all in all, it's about timing. Okay, you all want to ask questions pertaining to any topics. Okay, I think we go for a short break. Then you all come back, right? Then you tell me which topic you want to go through. Okay, but you want to discuss about practical, I'm okay with it. Okay, because this one, if you have still got any questions in the back of mind and you want to ask one, okay, you can still ask. Is it okay? Okay, we go for a break. Is it okay, everyone? Is it okay? So, are you still with me?
Yes,
Can we
sure.
go for a break?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I write down a break for about